Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cynical Cinema Podcast. I am Ron, and I'm here with my co-host, Jake. Hello, Jake.
Yo, what's happening?
Today, we are going to be discussing the 1993 film Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, that's an interesting movie. Good pick, though, man. I don't know. Good movie.
Yeah, this was your pick.
Was it my pick?
A couple weeks ago, yeah, because it's been a couple weeks. We haven't done one in a little while because we had the Drunken Idaho podcast, and then we had Thanksgiving, so that kind of threw a wrench in everything. So it's good to be back. To be honest, this was the first time I've seen, the famous abduction scene a bunch of times, and I've seen bits and pieces because this used to be on HBO all the time when I was younger.
Right, yeah, it was one of those movies.
Yeah.
Kind of floated around.
Right, but a lot of people don't realize, because we're old. We're at least in our 50s now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when we were younger, if you turned on HBO and something happened to be on, like, that was it. We didn't have DVDs at the time, and scene selections. You could go watch everything or own this movie. So back in the day on HBO, it was just, if you caught it, you caught it, Yeah. So I would only see bits and pieces. I've never actually seen the full movie. Right. So it was interesting to actually just sit down and watch this. And yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it as a whole.
Yep.
I feel like, obviously, the subject matter is interesting. This is adapted from a book by Travis Walton, who, claims to be abducted by aliens. And that book was called, like, The Walton Experience or something.
Yeah.
I
believe so. The guy's full of shit.
I kind of think so, too, honestly.
He's a shifty motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
don't believe this.
Yeah, I did watch some interviews and just, like a rundown of the whole story, just to get prepared for this podcast and then to watch the movie, obviously. It's hard to say. It's like you want it to be true. Well, you don't want, like, him to suffer, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, you kind of want the idea of it to be true. Like, oh, shit, so there really are aliens and they could abduct people and, like...
Right. It's just, his story is so typical. There's really nothing out of the ordinary that makes his story really stand out or actually significant, other than the attention that it got when he told the story in the first place. The weirdest part is the guy claims to have been gone for, 5 days and X amount of hours or whatever the hell it was, somewhere around there. He was missing, and then he shows up and he has this crazy ass story. That's the weirdest part of your story. Otherwise, other than that, the only thing that nothing can be confirmed.
Well, the thing that brought the most credibility to it was when, I guess, what was it, like the 5 other guys that were in the truck with him.
But they all made money.
No, I know. So what I'm saying is that what people who believe the story, what they always point to is they all passed the polygraph test. Like, they all passed it. It's like, okay, but so what?
But even my understanding is that wasn't even all of that legitimate. Like, the tests were kind of faulty. That they were given. Like, they didn't really work out.
Right.
And, like, they were lying, blatantly lying, and they were also lying to themselves. That's everything I'm reading about it. It's a lot of self-deception going on too. Like, the guy's told the story so many fucking times since 1975 that he believes his own bullshit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. All right, so the incident happened in 1975. Here's the thing. Are these guys, these lumberjacks or whatever, are they that brilliant that they came up with this plan all together? Let's just say, like, this is all a hoax. They said, okay, you're going to go missing for 5 days. Just get the fuck out of here. We're going to lay low or just not know what's going on. And then someday we're going to fucking cash in on this because they're going to make a movie about it. Like,
well, no.
Do they think that way in 1975? Because that'd be...
It's not quite like that.
It's a baller move.
Similar. It's, I think some magazine, I think it was the Inquirer or something like that, they put out some reward or $5,000 for the best UFO story of that year or something like that. So I think guy got like $5,000 for after he told this story, because I guess it was the best one or something. Oh boy! That. And at the time, there was a lot of alien shit going on. There was the Project Blue Book thing. There was the Roswell situation a handful of years before that. There was all of this shit going on. It was just in the people's minds, it was in their frame of reference. So this guy just took a lot of bits and pieces from all of the other alien abduction stories that he heard over the years, came up with some bullshit, crazy, conventional amalgamation of all of them, and fucking told this nonsense story. And I don't think that detracts from the movie. I don't really like the first hour and 10 minutes of this movie. I just think it's kind of typical and kind of boring, and who cares? Good actors. It's not.
Yeah,
the
that is the main thing that I thought too. Watching it, it was dragging. Well, it wasn't even dragging. I wasn't really interested.
It wasn't engaging.
Exactly. The acting is good. That's the weird part about it, because you're like,
it's really good. Yeah,
you're just watching it. You're like, I don't really love any of the characters or anything, but the acting's pretty good. Like, okay.
Was this after he did Terminator 2, Judgment Day? The one guy.
Yeah. Shit. Was that 92? So I think this is like a year later.
Then. Yeah. So the year before this, he was the bad guy in the Terminator.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Now he's
he was actually really good in this, but again, like there's nothing to work with really. There's no real, like, it tries to be really dramatic, but. Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny? And what's his name in this? Michael, the guy from Terminator?
I think so. Yeah.
His wife is one of the bartenders from Roadhouse.
It all fits together.
I was like, hell yeah. And by the way, she's just a total bitch to him for no reason in this.
Right.
Which makes me think that that guy had a say in the script. They're like, oh yeah, all right, so tell your story about your divorce. He's like, dude, she was a total bitch for no reason.
He carried the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
He carried the whole movie until obviously the best part of this movie, the part that makes it worth watching, the last half hour.
Yeah. And I will say that it does build up to the abduction scene in a nice way. It was pretty good, like the way they built up to it. It's just that not everything leading up to it is great. So that's really the problem.
I mean, what would be the verdict? Like, good movie or a shitty movie with a good part?
I would say it like this. If I had to do a review, like 2 words, and I don't know, ready? I would say it this way instead of like, I was pretty good.
Right.
If I said it, I would say it was pretty good. That's my review. It was pretty good.
You won't hate yourself for watching the movie.
No. Did I waste my time? Not really. No. I will be honest, and I try not to do this anymore in this day and age and everything.
Right.
I will be honest, the first hour, I caught myself looking at my phone a little bit.
Yep.
I was looking at my phone. I was texting my wife. I was like, hey, what are you doing at work right now?
What's happening? Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know. They try to make him like this likable guy in the beginning. You're like, oh, he's so lovable, and to make you, I guess, feel worse for him when this happens.
Right.
So I guess I commend them for trying to do that, but there just wasn't enough there. There's no real story because you're just it really was like they were just relaying what he was saying, like in a story, his story or his book or whatever.
Right.
Just like word for word. And then we did this, and then this happened, and it's just kind of like cold. You know what I mean?
When he's retelling, absolutely.
No, I just mean like the movie comes across that way.
No,
it
definitely does. Yeah, absolutely. It's
because it kind of, even though the acting is good, it does seem like everybody's just kind of going through the motions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
There's not really a whole lot to work with.
Mm-hmm. I know it's not their fault. I'm just saying.
A group of people at odds with their town.
Yeah.
That's the premise until he's abducted.
They try to do some sort of dramatic tension with the one guy. What was his name? Like Dallas or something?
Something like that.
They try to set that up in the beginning, him having a problem with Travis for no reason, and they don't get along while they're chopping lumber or whatever. Right. It just doesn't really. I guess the reason they did that was for the sheriff or whatever to kind of suspect him. Like, oh, did you murder him? Because you're acting like you don't really like this guy, Travis. Right. But that just obviously that's not going to go anywhere because the story and it's a true whatever, not true story, but like these people existed in real life. You know what I mean?
Right. It's a movie based on a bullshit story made up by a guy with a mustache from Arizona. Right.
So there's no real tension there, I guess.
No, there's
So you're just like, all right, can we just see the fucking abduction because you're kind of wasting my time here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. I feel like they should have went further with taking liberties. And I know they did, but I'm saying like they should have
definitely.
maybe even went even further just to fucking make it, I don't know, just to enhance the story a little bit. I don't know.
I think they should have just basically built up the abduction, just transitioned into what the abduction scene turned into and just lingered there a little bit longer. Cut out 20 minutes, 15 minutes of the movie with the bullshit story with the group of friends and their circumstances in town and them trying to reconcile that nonsense, and just kind of focus on the extraterrestrial shit and just make it a little weirder, take it that next step further, or make it more extreme, because it feels like such a typical run of the fucking mill movie story, especially at that time. You know, it's like there is nothing interesting or engaging about this nonsense. So I don't know. Focused on the more bizarre.
Yeah, that's the thing is it is a standard runtime for a movie, but with this subject matter, for whatever reason, it right from the start, it's like there's really you can't do a 2-hour movie of this, really. I honest, for me, it should have been like some sort of like TV special, or like part of kind of like one of those like Twilight Zone type shows, or like a spin-off of that back in the day or whatever, like Outer Limits or like whatever the hell. And you could just tell this story in like 45 minutes or something. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have worked better. And I know everybody, you know, you try to get the movie deal because you wrote a book and everything. But I just feel like it didn't fully work in that way.
But I really feel that the abduction scene, that whole sequence was just so strong and kind of distinct. It kind of has that nightmarish Jacob's Ladder kind of feel to it, and that really worked for me. That's what makes the movie really watchable and stands out as an E.T. movie or whatever the fuck in and of itself. It kind of makes it worth it, but it's not a movie you can sit there and revisit all the time. It's not a Blade Runner. It's not one of those types of movies,
right? Because you're just going to end up fast forwarding to that part. Really, I mean, to be honest. That's the most memorable part of it. So yeah, like I guess we could just go into just some of the basics. Like it was him and what, 5 other guys or 4 other guys? I forget. Whatever.
I think 5 other people. Yeah.
But they're all in the truck. And how did you think this was portrayed in the movie? Do you think because it was very. The thing is, I feel like Travis should have said something or done something before he just got out of the car, because it was really weird that he just like got out and he's like, wow, look at this terrifying looking thing over here.
I liked it. I liked what they were going for more than
what
I think
do you
the
think?
Execution.
Why do you think?
It felt like instead of a group of friends, I felt like I was watching a group of actors. So that was a little weird. It just felt a little jarring. They didn't feel like just a group of people that actually have jobs and work for a living getting together and doing or whatever. It didn't feel authentic, I guess, and a lot of the movie doesn't really feel authentic in that way. It feels just like a movie of that time.
Yeah.
A couple of the performances are really good, but honestly, there's not a whole hell of a lot that stands out in that first hour or so.
Yeah, because it is a little all over the place. Like, I mean, and it's almost not even worth talking about because these parts are kind of, I don't know, not really that important. But
it's all
Michael,
like, where is he? I don't know.
You know, what was he in Terminator? Was like the T-1000, or which one was he?
T-1000, I think.
Yeah, T-1000.
Yeah, T-1000.
Or Michael in this. Travis is, I guess, dating his sister.
Right.
And that's a real life thing. Like, they got married eventually and everything. But in the beginning of the movie, he's like, you're not right for my sister. You know, it's like one of those type of things.
Right.
And then halfway through the movie, he's like, we're like best friends, man. Like when he comes back and it's like, the fuck are you talking about?
We're going to put our differences aside.
No, but he wasn't even saying that. He was full on like, I'm so glad you came back, man. We're best friends.
Man.
And it's like, what? That wasn't how it was in the beginning of the movie at all. And there was nothing to like build that up. It just happened. Yeah. But then I also guess that which was a good moment when he's in the like hospital bed or wherever.
Right.
And he's like, Michael says something to Travis like, oh, when we came back. And he's like, wait, you came back? You left me there? And he's like, well, yeah, we thought you were dead. And then he kind of like gets pissed off at him. That's so true. Like that was kind of cool. Like the whole thing of just like two fucking dudes just getting pissed off at each other, and then eventually, like years later, they just kind of squash it.
Right.
That all that stuff is like okay, I guess at best, because the acting is good. So it's just like, I don't know.
Well, I think it would have been cool if maybe they peppered in some of the more abstract shit they did at the end throughout the movie to build up to it. Maybe that would have made it a little more interesting to watch throughout the boring shit.
Yeah, and they do it right before when he's going in the actual hospital and they're cutting it with... I actually like that. I thought that was pretty well done.
Right.
When they're cutting it with the two aliens dragging him through the hallway or whatever.
Just shit like that would have been more interesting, I think.
Like throughout the movie, because then you would keep... because then I think...
building up to this idea.
And you're like, what the fuck
happened?
You slowly see like a corridor, like this dark thing, and you go, what the fuck
and
is
then
that?
finally just the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, that's probably one of the main flaws of it, where you're just like, okay, I'm kind of bored. I don't really...
They didn't take advantage of... whatever, the story, like they didn't really...
So with all that being said, because I think we can go a little bit longer, which is funny, on probably the shortest scene in the movie,
right? Absolutely.
which is the abduction scene.
Yeah, it's...
And I think it's very well done.
Right.
There were things that I didn't remember from, because I've seen that scene when I was younger. One of the cooler things about it is when he actually like gets out of his little pod or whatever they're keeping him in, and he goes down and he sees like these suits. And the thing that I thought was really interesting, because like I'm really into like UFO stuff, and like that whole subject is interesting to me, whether it's true or not or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
I know like some of that like alien lore and like the whole thing with the Greys, the gray aliens.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this part, and I could tell the people who made this also have like a really cool imagination and obviously like studied some of this stuff, because when he goes down, he sees like, I think he even says like, oh, these spacesuits.
Right.
And the spacesuits, the cool thing is the spacesuits are like the typical like gray, like alien gray, like the way they look, which is cool because it's like, okay, these aliens like go into these things, and then that's what like people see, and then like, if there's a description of an alien, it always looks like that. Right. So it's kind of cool that in this movie, it's like, well, that's why like anybody who's ever seen them says that they look like that, but that's just like a shell, or like just a suit that they wear to like, I don't know, like hibernate or whatever.
No, I like it.
So I thought that was really cool, but then also it's just really well done with the design. You know what I mean? Everything looks very otherworldly, which I like. It's not just like typical sci-fi or like
it almost has
old
like
school alien invasion stuff.
It almost has like a 1970s kind of approach to the special effects. It feels like late 70s.
Which makes it even weirder because this takes place in the 70s. Right. So you kind of think that the movie was made in the 70s in a weird way.
Like really, all the special effects for the scene just feel like it's from that point in time. It's just really well done. I mean, he comes out of the Matrix pod thing where he's trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like really, I have even as a viewer watching this, I have no fucking idea what the fuck these aliens were trying to do. What they were studying, I have no goddamn clue.
Yeah, maybe they were just fucking around. I think they make it more evil in this. Like they're just experimenting on humans, and then when they're done with them, they'll just fucking kill them or something. Because he does like encounter a dead body in there.
Right.
And there are little hints, like you'll see like a shoe.
Right.
Like on the side or something. So it seems like they've just been disposing of bodies and doing what they want with them. Then you could also look at it like he went in front of their light beam or whatever. So maybe he got fucked up from that. And then they're like, all right, we got to bring him in and fix him.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So you could look at it either way, but they didn't look too happy about
honestly, with how grotesque it kind of is and nightmarish and bizarre. I would like to think that they were actually trying to do him a favor. Like they're not malicious at all. They just come across.
But then there's a dead body in there too, so it's like, maybe
it was an accident. I don't know. It's really good. I really enjoy the end of this movie.
Yeah, it's very good. This part is when you this is like the lean in part. You know what I mean? When you're like, oh, actually, hold on one second. Right now. Yeah, this is good. And I think the direction's really good in this.
Yeah.
Did we say the director? Robert Lieberman?
Yeah, I think he's also famous for one of the Mighty Ducks movies.
Mighty Ducks 3, man.
Oh, man.
What a fucking legend.
What a career.
I think like those were the only two ones, and then I think it was like just a lot of TV stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
so weird. This and Mighty Ducks 3.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, he directed Clockwork Orange and The Lion King.
This
What
guy
the
was
fuck?
good enough to direct Gordon Bombay. dude.
Yeah, perfect.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, worth the watch, not one you watch all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely, like I said before, it's unfortunately, it's not like, oh, I own the Blu-ray. It's like, oh, no, I search Fire in the Sky alien abduction scene and I show it to my friend when I'm high one night.
Exactly.
Like, bro, did you ever see this movie?
Yeah. I just think the guy who the story is based on, or the movie is based on, the guy's story, that Travis Walton or something like that, he's full of shit. And that kind of detracts from this movie, especially because of how hard the guy kind of pushes it. Like, he really pushes, like, man, he believes the fuck out of this.
Because he wants that money.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't really understand that.
I want more movies about this subject, though.
That would be cool. I mean, that
You know
would
what
be
I mean?
cool. There's a lot of those types of stories out there.
I know there are lots, but
I
I just feel like most of them suck. So, like,
That's true.
we need, like, a really good, we need a good one.
What do you think is better, this or Close Encounters?
They're very different.
They are, but they're
Um,
kind of a similar subject matter.
I mean, obviously, Close Encounters is a better made film.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
it's
Spielberg,
way
yeah.
better. But even that movie, maybe it's the problem with the whole UFO alien encounter type movie.
right.
It's kind of all better left to your imagination in a sense, because when you hear stories about it, that's like the fun of it.
Yeah.
You'll hear someone's story, you'll watch a documentary, and it's all left to your imagination, right? And then when you see the movie, I feel like, at least I'm kind of always disappointed, like, oh, that was it, like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, I get that you can't just have a movie that's like showing the aliens all the time, because then it goes into that like alien invasion territory,
Right.
which is
Mars
a little more like
attacks.
cheesy, campy,
Mars-
which is
yeah.
fine,
Yeah, I'm fine
but
with
just
that.
not for this type of thing.
No.
I think the abduction scene does that pretty well for the most part, where it's like kind of blurry, like when he's getting dragged by the aliens, it's kind of like you don't really see them. You just see their hands kind of working on him and putting
Right,
him on
right.
that table and like taking his clothes off. You know, like shit like that is really cool. But then they do kind of do like full on close ups of the alien, which I feel like they shouldn't have done as much as they did.
No.
Not that it like kills the scene or
You
anything.
should, I don't think it detracts from anything.
I
It
just
makes
like
it worse.
more of the mystery of it.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
guess that
you
makes
don't
sense.
really see them full on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Bits
I don't
and
know.
pieces, drips and drabs.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I would do an alien encounter type of movie. Like you wouldn't really see them full on,
Right. It would almost.
and it would make it a little more scary. I don't
Okay.
know.
No, I understand what you're saying. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That being said, I still think this scene in particular is really well done.
Absolutely. I just wish they really lingered.
Longer on it. I mean, it
Yeah.
is. It's a good scene. It's like it's a meaty scene, but it's not.
Well, it has to
It's
be-
just you want more of it because it was very well done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. It's what makes the whole thing worth it.
Absolutely.
So basically, the movie gets all fucking Clockwork Orange and Matrix and Jacob's Ladder and all of those movies at the same time for a good little while. And then he ends up showing up back into civilization. He doesn't really know what happened. He kind of knows what happened. Nobody believes him. His friends, everybody's surprised at his reappearance. Then he reconciles all the relationships in his life, sort of at that point, at least with a couple of people, right? With his best friend.
Yeah, definitely with Michael.
T-1000.
The T-1000.
So he solves his relationship with his best friend, the Terminator.
Yeah.
The evil Terminator.
Right.
And they all live happily ever after. And he grew a mustache after this, and now he's been telling crazy fucking stories ever since.
Yeah.
That's the conclusion of Fire in the Sky.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Captivating experience.
Yeah. Recommend for you?
Definitely. Again, the end makes it worth it. You're probably going to check your phone a few times, just like you were saying, I think, during the
Yeah.
first hour or so of this movie. But in terms of an abduction movie, not bad. I mean, it really not a
There's
bad
definitely
movie.
worse, right?
Yeah, there's definitely worse out there. Yeah, fuck it. I'd recommend it. I mean, what about you?
Yes, I would recommend it just to get to, the last half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it all is kind of worth it when
Right.
you sit through the...
So with this movie,
It's a little bit of a slog, I would say,
Yeah.
in certain parts, but it is worth it to get to that.
so I think what you're trying to
Abduction
say is
part.
like sometimes it's the journey, not the destination. In this case, it's the destination,
Yes,
not so much the journey.
That's a great way to put it. Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, so definitely for that, and especially if you're into this type of subject matter, for sure, I would check it out. Good, not great, you know what I mean? Just one of those
But still fun.
middle of the road.
Fun to watch. I haven't seen it in a while, so it was kind of fun going back and watching it again.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, you
Yeah.
know?
All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and actually, I want to plug real quick. Just check my playlist because we have all the episodes in order. Not that it matters, but
Yeah.
have them all in order on the Cynical Cinema playlist. So check it out.
That's
and if if you're just tuning in for the first time, check out all the other stuff we've been doing.
That's it. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one.
That's right. All right, thanks, Jake.
All right, man.
We'll see you later.
I said see you.
Hey everyone, it's Ron here with a quick announcement. When I started this channel, I was reading and reviewing the Dune books and other sci-fi related material, and most of you might not know that I'm also a musician. So when I was reading these sci-fi books, I started to get inspired and decided to make my own soundtrack to use for my videos, and now I'm excited to tell you all about the first volume in the Ron Reviews original soundtrack collection. This album includes the first 17 tracks featured on my channel, and it's available now exclusively on Bandcamp. Be sure to check the description of this video for the link to the album. Thanks so much for the support so far. I know I'm just starting out, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am. So check out the original soundtrack Volume 1 on Bandcamp. This music is great if you want something moody and atmospheric to listen to while you're reading some science fiction. I think you're going to love it. Thanks.